Hey everybody, Johnny here. Hope you're doing well. This is just this little video segment that we've been doing where we've basically been saying, hey, if we had a few more minutes on a Sunday morning from this past weekend, what would we have included? What would we have said in our sermon? Because there's always things that get left on the cutting room floor or things if we had 5 more minutes that we would love to say. And this past weekend, we talked about the question, are you going to leave me? Right? Jesus asked this question whenever he teaches a hard to accept teaching to his disciples about lots of different things about who he is, about why he has come, about how people come to him, and how the Father enables that to happen. And what ends up happening is that some of the disciples end up walking away. They end up not following him anymore. And Jesus asked his disciples this question, are you going to leave me, essentially? And it just made me think about how whenever hard things happen, what people typically do sometimes in our world. And it made me think of this other verse from 2 Timothy chapter 4. 2 Timothy is the last letter that Paul wrote before he died. And he's charging Timothy with all these different things and things that he's supposed to do. But there's this verse starting in verse 3. This is verses 3 and 4 in chapter 4 of 2 Timothy. And it just says this. For the time will come when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Instead, to suit their own desires, they will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. How about that for a picture, right? They will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to myths. It just made me think about how these disciples heard something that was hard and they decided they didn't like it and they turned and walked away. And our encouragement has always been, if something hard happens, it's not necessarily that you need to turn and walk away from what Jesus has taught, but that you need to actually learn to understand and trust him more. Not that you're going to understand everything, but that it's an opportunity for you to lean in and trust him more. And we have this interesting picture here that Paul talks about, when the time comes, there's going to be this time when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Jesus teaches something that's hard to accept. Paul teaches something that's hard to accept. They're not going to put up with sound doctrine. Instead, they're going to jump ship and they're going to find someone who will suit their desires and will say what their itching ears want to hear. And I think this is just a good test for us, right? Whenever you feel like something's hard to accept, ask yourself why you're having a problem with it. And do you need to lean into Jesus more and trust him more and believe in him more and have faith in him more and rely on the Holy Spirit to help nurture that relationship? Or are you just, wanting your ears to be itched to satisfy your own desire, your own need, because it's easier to do that? It's a good test. It's a good kind of a litmus test to say, okay, when I'm having a hard time with something, is this an opportunity for me that I just need to trust more, which it probably is? Or notice, hey, how is this just satisfying my itching ears and what I want to hear and what I would like to have happen for my life to make it easier or better or just agree with me, whatever that might look like. Well, hey, we hope you'll continue following through with us in this series of Great Question, what Jesus really wants to know. We'll be back again Sunday morning and again checking in with you midweek just to continue this discipleship journey through our summer series.